Hello, welcome to the Modern Psychic Podcast, Samaya. How are you today?
Hi, Naomi. I'm really well. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm very excited to be fellow stripes kind of conversationalist with you today.
Yes, absolutely. For those of you that can't see, both me and Samaya are wearing stripes today, as we're speaking, and so it's just fun and synchronistic how we both just showed up in black and white stripes. So, yeah.
Totally.
Well, I'm so excited to have you on. I love having other psychics on the podcast. I love speaking with other psychics because I'm sure, as you know, like we're all different, right?
Absolutely.
Every psychic is not the same. We all have our own things that we connect with, ways that we connect with things. And so I love connecting with people that have psychic gifts, have mediumship gifts, have shamanic gifts, and just really exploring and talking about, like, how do you do things? How do you do what you do? And so I want to start off with you kind of giving a background for us on your story,
Yeah.
starting with, like, did you always know that you were psychic, or did your abilities start out somewhere in your life? And just kind of dive into the story. I know a lot of people get really curious when I say that I'm a psychic. The first thing they say, have you been that way your whole life, or how did that happen? How did you know? And so I want to hear your story about that.
Yeah, well, I've always known from a young age there was something that was a little bit different. And the way I know is by the way it was pissing people off around me.
Oh
I was
yeah.
picking up on information that often people didn't want talked about. And by people, I mean specifically my family. And sometimes it kind of, yeah, it would trigger people because I was tapping into sensitive territory and it was kind of like I hadn't realized at the time it was seen as a bit hidden. Because often with reading energy and psychic energy, you kind of see what's underneath the surface. So I knew that I was able to tap into something and the information I was passing to people that, in some cases I wouldn't have known about. It was triggering, and I knew that whatever it was I was doing, it was somehow not welcomed, and that it was best for me to keep it sort of like a little bit under the covers. It was like this kind of almost kind of like not spoken rule that it was not okay to be so in tune and kind of like yeah, I kept it sort of simple, but I did move in the UK. I left home when I was 19. I came to study, and it was actually through meditation practice. I really got to practice and live with a Buddhist community in my 20s for quite a few years. I got into practice, and it kind of resensitized me to my hidden gifts. Um, and then it wasn't until it's about 2009 when I went to Egypt on a couple of sacred journeys that those gifts kind of opened up again. And the medium I was using initially, I was reading anything to do with patterns. So it was particularly coffee grounds. Like in Greece, I'm Greek originally, we have this coffee that we drink where it has like the coffee grounds at the end. You turn the cup around, it creates a pattern. So anything that created a pattern, like a bowl of soup at the end of it, like a pint of beer, the froth would create its own patterns. Anything like with sort of food or like liquid, I was able to read a pattern.
Oh
Um,
wow. Okay. And
yeah,
so
yeah,
so this was something that so are you originally from Greece? I
I'm Greek
didn't
originally. Yeah, yeah,
Okay. And so is this something that I don't know too much about the Greek culture? Is this something that is pretty
yeah.
prominent in the Greek culture to be able to do that,
I
or
would
to know
say
of it?
that yeah, I would say that there's a tradition of particularly like the elders, the aunties and the grandmothers who do cup reading, like coffee cup reading. It's kind of like you also have the tea leaves, but in Greece we
Yeah.
drink coffee than we drink tea, right? So
Oh,
you
okay.
coffee grounds, and there was a woman in the family who did it. but not my immediate family, you know. And generally I would say that my immediate family were not really. My mom was a very sensitive, highly sensitive woman. Again, she felt like she had to suppress a gift. It was almost seen like a bit of a curse.
Mm,
And it was kind of the way it was sort of like sort of communicated to me from my mother that it was not a great thing for us. And
okay.
you know, and it was kind of like, yeah, there was a suppressed element, you know. Um, and it wasn't until I moved here that things changed for me, where I started getting really into spirituality, and then kind of like it just came back really strong. And then, of course, I harnessed it. And now the way I do readings, I don't do coffee grounds anymore. I don't need the patterns to read a pattern. But I kind of evolved it to energy reading now. Energy reading through tapping into people's energy and getting messages through the higher self.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. I love that. And so, just to kind of recap for my own brain, so you were born and raised a little bit in Greece, then you
Mhm.
moved to the UK for a little while. And in the UK, is that where you also met with the Buddhist community?
Yeah, I've been living in the UK for 27 years now. It's my spiritual home. I love it.
Okay.
I love my seaside town with my son. And I really had to move. I think I came to study here, but my whole life it just feels right. I'm in the right place. I had to be here. I feel like it's been a major spiritual awakening for me. All the experiences, the learning experience, all the expansion that I've experienced here, I I promise you, it wouldn't have been possible in Greece,
Mm,
not in this way, for me at least personally, you know.
yeah.
Um, and I did have some incredible teachers. I feel like I've been meeting the right people at the right time of my evolution. So I've had my 10 years with the Buddhist meditation practice I fell in love with, went quite deep with it, then kind of moved on to meeting my teacher, Isis, in Glastonbury. We did some incredible divine feminine work, really blew the lead of my experience, really, and some healing work we did together. And then moved on to some channeling experiences with Saint Germain through a man called Shamare in London. That was actually before I met Isis. And then I met my psychic coach who's US based, who was doing business coaching, but by helping you connect with your psychic gifts. And she's the one who helped me really do my energy reading in a deeper capacity and taking it away from just doing the coffee grounds, if you like, you know, and opening my gifts a lot more deeper, as well as doing more shamanic work, because I really fell in love with shamanic journeys and working with spirit in that way as well.
I love that. And so I want to kind of go back to the different times in Egypt where you went on your spiritual journeys or pilgrimages, and uh, what kind of things did you experience, if you'd like to go into a little bit of detail about that, that helped or really got you thinking or feeling that you have expanded in
Yeah.
certain ways while you were there.
Egypt was a life-changing experience for me. It was 2010. It was when I got my initiation to Samaya. I was given that name from my soul. My Greek name is Vasiliki. It's a name I dearly love. I still use. But I remember being called my name and I couldn't respond to it. And I said to my teacher, why is this not resonating? And she says, because you're ready to receive your higher self name, your soul name. You know, so it's you know, as we know, names hold a vibration, right? And the name I was meant to receive was held at just a new vibration for me, that it was meant to help kind of catapult me in this next sort of phase of evolution in my life and really tap into my gifts as well. And I received that name during sort of just in one day, that I was just as I was going back to my hotel room. And I remember like getting that name. I sat in meditation, the name Samaya came, fell asleep. I woke up, I go in the bathroom, and I saw my eyes had turned emerald green. It was this color I had never seen before. And we did temple work, we did remembrance work, we did grid work. It was unlike anything I had experienced, because a lot of what was taking place, I was not able to put into words. It was kind of like speaking directly to our higher self and our unconscious as well. We did shadow work. We did a lot of archetype work. Like it felt like through the mythology of Egypt, the temples, even the pharaohs and the different kind of elements that the Egyptian mythology was kind of, offering. The group got to experience itself in so many new variations, where we got to tap into different archetypes that held some element of healing for us individually. And I felt like the woman that I came back from those two journeys was very different. And I remember going back to the workplace and saying to my boss, look, I'd love to change my email address to my new name. And he let me do that. And the moment I did that, like everything changed. Like
Oh,
the moment
wow.
I started embodying that vibration of Samaya, things changed for me. Like a lot of aspects in my life, the things that were not meant to come with me in this next phase of my journey just kind of dropped, just fell off like easy from my life. The new elements started coming. I started doing a lot of esoteric teaching in a very kind of beautiful spot in Covent Garden in London. I held weekly classes. I did a lot of meditation. And then I was doing a lot of healing workshops, like attunements for people. And but the journey in Egypt was unlike anything I've personally experienced. There was a lot of activation. There was a lot of remembrance. Like I felt like it's almost like I was coming deeper in connection with my divine feminine, and kind of the remembrance of who we are beyond, before we were told who we were going to be. You know what I mean? And on that deeper level, and I started awakening to that, and I started tapping into more naturally my gifts. I connected more with my psychic friends. We practiced a lot on each other. We sort of also built the vision of what the new earth was about, which was before we were even talking about new earth, just before we did the big pyramids. The last day, the last night, we were doing our kind of like our final sort of ritual in the big pyramid, right? And we were in the big chamber where there was the sarcophagus, and where normally you have guards stopping you from doing things, like, and our teacher had hired the whole pyramid. It was just us.
Oh, wow.
And
Nice.
we were in the pyramid doing all this work, and she even taught us how to faint without hurting ourselves, because every time she took people doing this ritual, people would faint, like just dropped off. And she says, right, okay, so let me show you how to faint without hurting yourself.
Oh, wow.
We actually did practice. I actually personally got sick for like a few days as we led to doing the ritual. We were talking earlier about how significant sickness is, or illnesses, when it comes to us.
Right.
And it was a pretty incredible experience. Like none of these people, like we were strangers, we were coming together, and we were not the same people when we came back. And
Amazing.
whoever my teacher, she has passed on, Isis is, she ran the consciousness school of Shambhala in Isis. I have not met a human being before like her in this planet. Like, she's on a completely different level. Kind of, she brought esoteric teachings that were just unlike anything I experienced. But, and that's important to say, they changed our lives profoundly. That we came back, our lives were practically changed for life. The patterns that we had experienced in life, how we were showing up in our lives, how we stepped into purpose more, and what we chose from then onwards. And it was a very beautiful thing, like this thing about building the notion of what the new earth is about. Just before we did the ritual, she was getting us down with pen and paper, right? What are we bringing into this new earth? One of the things that I mentioned there, and at the time I wasn't using my psychic gifts, but one of the things I wrote there, that every single person on the planet connects to their own psychic gifts. They are natural. They're such an organic part of our ecosystem. It doesn't feel like something that it's alien. It's just who we are. And fast forward 14 years from then, it's exactly my mission in my business is to like help guide other women, like open up their own mystery schools, the mystery schools that had been so kind of shut down, locked down, or forgotten, seeing all these women coming to this training and opening up, like, and starting to sweep the floors, and like this light going into the rooms, and it's like the temples are opening again,
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. And I myself have done pilgrimages where I've been called by spirit to go to certain spaces, to certain locations. And
What have they been? What are those
most
places?
of mine have been in Europe. Well, actually, all of them have been in Europe,
Wow,
mostly. There's been some in the United States, but I get
nice,
I get called to the monoliths, and so I've been to Glastonbury, I've been to Carnac, France, I've been to
beautiful.
uh, Scotland and Ireland, and yeah, when I go, I don't know where I'm going yet, and then it's like leads me to the monoliths, and so I get called to the monoliths when I've done that.
You're very good like that though, aren't you? Because you having that call now, and you kind of following that. And I think there's a lot to be said about having the trusting on that intuition and taking that call, because not everybody would do it. A lot of people would find reasons why not to, or obstacles, or find that, oh, I've got my life going on here. I can't just sort of, so I'd love to know a bit about that. Like what did those journeys do for you, do you think?
Well, the very first one that I ever got called to was Amsterdam, actually. And so this was when I wasn't I don't claim to be born with spiritual gifts, I guess, being open. Um, Mine kind of started opening up in 2018 when I started learning Reiki. Then that's when my intuition really started opening up, my spiritual gifts really started opening up. But I had a dream, very vivid, very clear dream. And in that dream, I was given like different instructions, like, you're going to go on a journey. Here's what it's going to look like.
Oh,
But it gave me like things to look for that were like clues to where I was supposed to go.
yeah,
And so, and I was like, just sitting there listening in my dream, and it was like, you're going to find God, we know you're here to find God. And I was like, what? Like, and I
yeah,
didn't say anything in my dream, I was just listening. And so the next day I started seeing those clues that I was told I was going to see, and it pointed to Amsterdam, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm supposed to go to Amsterdam, I don't know why.
nice.
um but it was just so clear to me, and I knew what I got. I knew what I saw, and I knew what I remembered. And
Yeah,
so that was enough for me. Like, I was like, okay, well, I trust myself. And that's something that I feel like I've always had, is that no matter what anybody said to me about anything, if I was looking for advice or guidance on something, if somebody told me, their advice or suggestions, and it didn't resonate with me, I wouldn't listen. I would just be like,
beautiful. That's
okay,
great.
thanks. Like, I still feel that's not quite what I'm supposed to do. And they're like, well,
Yeah,
why did you ask me? And I'm like, well, I want to know, because I
sure.
want information, and I want to be able to see what resonates and what doesn't.
Yeah,
And but that doesn't mean that I, you know, not thinking that you
blindly,
can give me
yeah,
good, yeah, not thinking that you could give me good guidance. I'm just listening to myself. And so when I got that vision or that dream, I went, and in Amsterdam, got there, and there wasn't anything like big activation that happened. But there were definitely validations that,
yeah,
yes, you're supposed to be here. Yes, this was where you're supposed to be. And I was like, okay, well, cool. And so then the next few times we're in meditation, where I'd just be in meditation, be connecting. I, feel really good. I'm like, okay, I'm just open, and I'm just connected to the power, is what I call it, like connected to source, and I feel great, and everything feels good. And then all of a sudden I'd get a drop in. Okay, you're supposed to go here. And I'm just
yeah.
like the next one was, I got told I needed to go to Cornwall. in England.
Wow.
And I was like, well, I got told you're gonna go to England, and I'm like, London? And I was like, no. And I'm like, well, that's the only place I know in England. I've never been to England before. And then I got Cornwall, and I'm like, Cornwall? What is Cornwall? Like I had to Google it, and I was like, it's a region, and I'm like, where am I supposed to go? And it's like, you'll see, just go. And I'm like,
It's a very
okay.
beautiful place, Cornwall, actually. I've run a retreat once there, and it is kind of meant to be a very sacred space. Some really beautiful spots there that are
Yeah,
really beautiful. Wow, that sounds great. So the when you get that guidance, these are your guides that are bringing that forward? Because I love,
it's
yeah,
uh, when I tap into my, like, the way that I like to tap in, and this is just for me, I teach people in lots of different ways. I can connect to specific guides, and I do sometimes ask for specific guides for specific things. But overall, I just feel like I have a team that consists of,
yeah,
angels, ancestors, spirit guides,
sure.
everything, entities,
Yeah,
and they're all here to help in whatever way. But I really feel like I get most of my stuff just from my higher self.
your higher
Um,
self.
even when I get a guide that shows himself and, comes forward and tells me something, I always still connect and say, my higher self, like, does this
Yeah,
feel aligned? Does this feel good? And
yes.
and then that's what I move off of. And so, yeah, for
It's
me, that's
it's
how it looks.
it's interesting you say that. To be honest with you, of all the ways to tune into energy, I love doing it the most through the higher self. You know why that is? Because A is still tuned into to your wisdom and to your particular soul blueprint, your higher self, right? So even if we channel information from source energy or from spirit, coming through the higher self, it's almost like we're sort of really adapting that to kind of suit us as well. And also, I feel like because I teach the energy reading method is like kind of it's a certification. It's called the Soul Star reading. And a soul star is essentially the eighth chakra, which is above our crown, and that's the home of the higher self. It's the I am. And I kind of feel like it's a lot more empowering for people to kind of bring that wisdom and the channeling through the higher self than it is from, because it feels a lot more not personal necessarily, because it still comes from the higher self and it could be like bigger universal wisdom, but I just feel more comfortable with it
Hmm.
somehow, and it feels like it's a lot more kind of easy to sort of adapt to your own life circumstances, a piece of wisdom or information that comes from the higher self than from source energy somehow. I don't know. So I really love that. I
Yeah.
love
Yeah, I would totally agree. And that's what I teach my clients as well, is um no matter what, even if I say something, if anyone else says something that you really trust, like, come within. If it really
exactly.
resonates with you, specifically you, your soul spark, your higher self, um, then go with that. If there's
Yeah.
something that's a little off, then sit with it longer and see what
Yeah.
you get. But yeah, I feel like the same, like, it's more personalized
It
to,
is more
um,
personalized.
yeah,
Yeah.
to the soul, not the individual. It's the soul, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And we're here as souls to make choices and to move our lives forward. And it's funny actually, because even sometimes when we do get, even if it comes from like guides or whatever, or even if it comes from herself and it doesn't fully resonate, I think that there might be a good reason for it. It might be that it resonates further down the line. In like it's happened to me. They've given me a piece of advice that resonated 3 years on the line.
Right.
You
Yeah.
that it will resonate. I'm not fully in alignment with that piece of information, and so it's not meant to resonate. And I really love to being in a position, and I love that you teach that, to say actually, okay, I hear you, and right now I'm good with where I'm at, or it's not quite like ringing, like for me, it's not really kind of quite where I'm at. But thank you and I really love that kind of discernment, and I want to see more of it, to be honest, in the spiritual community. I'd love to see more women connecting and not always kind of getting on with their agenda that they're receiving from the guides, because that means you're a powerful soul and you making your own, paving your own path in the way that might just resonate more for you. And it might be that you need to learn a lesson that in a way, you know, maybe your higher self or your guides were trying to bypass you from. I don't know, but there's a reason why you're choosing something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to take your
Yep,
time with something if it doesn't fully resonate. I want to see more of that going on in our spiritual community personally.
absolutely. I agree. And I think that, well, I know that when you sit with your higher self and you allow that to be your compass, then and you know how important that is, and you see how important that is just by listening to it in your own life. You see things play out in the best way possible for you.
Yeah.
Then we also honor that in other people when they listen to their higher selves as well. And so even again, like if I'm, giving guidance to a client or even to another intuitive friend, and I give them what I see or what I'm, feeling, then they take that and they'll say, they'll sit with it for a little bit, and then they'll be like, well, thank you for that. I do feel like there's something there, just like what you said, and
Yeah.
but I don't think it's a right now thing for me.
Yeah.
And I don't take that to heart when they tell me that. Like I totally honor it because I understand. And so I don't take it personally, and I still feel good about the information that I gave for them,
Exactly.
and because I'm honoring myself. And yeah, it just makes it okay to honor yourself in all situations, and for others to honor themselves. And really that's what we all want, is just to be ourselves, and to not have those expectations or attachments or obligations to other people that we have to conform with, a societal whatever, just because we don't
100%.
want to hurt people's feelings, or we don't want to do whatever. We'll go against ourselves. And I feel like that's what has gotten us so far away from ourselves in this time, and even, throughout history. Like we've gotten so far away from ourselves because we've allowed all these external obligations to come in and make us conform, in other ways, instead of listening to ourselves, and instead of saying it's okay to honor myself and it's okay for other people to honor themselves, and it'll actually all work out, and it's okay. Like it'll actually work out better than any other thing that any of us could force, if we just allowed it to be
Totally.
okay. And so I'm with you. I'm envisioning that.
Yeah.
That's part of my work too, is to help people
Power.
embody that it's okay to connect to yourself, and it's okay to say no to somebody. It's okay to say thank you for your information, but I'm going to go with what I feel. And if other people say that to you, then honor that, love that for them, and be okay with it. Like, good, you go with what
100%.
you feel, and encourage that in other people. Like, that's going to be a game changer, the more people do that. So, yep, I'm
100%.
right with you.
It's now I can understand why we're like twinsies here with our stripes. I see that
Yes.
there's more into the synchronicity than just like fashion. But essentially this is about discernment, right? Like it's about learning to discern and speak our own truth, because we're here as powerful beings we're not here to channel the wisdom of our guides. We're here to channel our own wisdom, and to really, with collaboration from our guides, our ancestors and everyone, we're here. It takes a village, right, to do it all. And there's something really valuable in that. One of the first modules in my energy reading certification is all about learning people to connect with their yes and their no. The yes and the no, not of the mind, but of their inner being, their intuitive self, of their higher self. And really understand, because that becomes the compass for everything, really. Once you know this, then any energy reading you do, you know where you stand with that, you know what your yes and your no. And of course, the yes and the no is as important when it comes to, like, which is another big part of my work, and it's quite a foundational piece of work, is around women learning to discern the boundaries and maybe kind of reclarify the boundaries and become better with them so that they stop energetically leaking. Just learning to voice the no, and first of all, feel what that no is. and what that yes, because I think we bypass so much of our no's and we stop
Yes.
living an intuitive life because we kind of live through the head, or we live through other stories or the conditions, the conditioning that we experience, and we kind of stopped, like we haven't connected fully with that yes and that full no and that full yes that comes from the inner being. And when we do that, something really magical happens. Everything starts to rearrange itself around you. It's almost like the universe understands, like gets it, that you get who you are, and you start becoming a lot more vibrationally magnetic to the right opportunities, to the things that are your yes, to the things that are your no, because you recalibrated yourself to understand what that is in the first place. And that's part of the remembrance for me. It comes back to that very basic. What's your yes? What's your no?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
if that is your yes, that is your no, why are you not living by it?
Yeah, why aren't you listening to that?
Yeah. So we kind of, there's a basic kind of like spiritual kind of like foundation we can build from just the yes and the no. It's so, it can feel simple, but actually it's not. It's like sometimes it can take a few months for women to like come to this, in my experience of working with people, to come to embodying it, you know,
Mhm.
to really living from that place. Because first it's like, oh my God, okay, they see it, then they go back to the way they were doing it. And then, oh, I keep on gaslighting myself. I keep on violating my no. I keep on violating my yes. And it's like at the end, it's such a relief when it's like, okay, I'm just gonna stop fighting it now, because it's like it's just creating chaos in my life, or it's just not letting me live authentically.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm curious, I love that you brought this up. Because again, I do similar things in with my clients as well. We start with
Yeah.
that foundation, the yes and no. And so from my experience, I know too that everybody feels it differently. Everyone feels it uniquely. And so I always like to know for you, how do you know what's a yes for you? Like, do you hear it? Do you feel it? Do you see it? Do you sense it in a certain way? And what is your nose, like specifically for you?
For me specifically, first of all, truth always feels light and lies feel heavy. So that's another way of discerning between a yes or a no. And I don't mean like for anyone collectively. I mean for me personally, what my truth and what's resonating, it will feel light. When something feels like a yes, feels lighter than the something that feels a no. Like it will feel like, you know. So I'm kind of like clairvoyant, clairsentient, claircognizant. All my clairs are pretty much open. Not as much the salience, although that's there, and the auditory not as strong as all the other ones, but I will feel it. And there's a kind of, there's also a sort of sense of openness towards something, and there's also kind of often a connection to joy. It can be very subtle, but a yes, something that has the energy of the yes. It almost feels like there's an energy of flow on the yes. There's a sense of easefulness, there's a sense of openness, there's a sense almost like of expansion, of joyfulness. If the joy is not always necessarily there, because it might not be something connected, that it feels that expansion, but there's definitely a sense of a flow. Also, because I'm an energy reader, I tend to now, it just stands out a lot more. So say, for instance, if it's something on a visual level, like say, you know, sometimes people do those card readings and say pick from 1 to 3. There's something I need to choose from, something visually in front of me. The thing that is for me always seems to like jump out. Like
Hmm.
it will visually just kind of jump out to me. It will come to me. Like I don't feel like I have to guess. I'm not using my mind. It's purely intuition that's kind of jumping out. It's the image. It's the sometimes it'll be accompanied by a feeling and a sense, oh yeah, this feels good. I want to try it. And sometimes it will be purely like a sense of I just like how something just kind of just makes me feel, you know.
Yeah.
So there's so many different things depending on, and sometimes it will be a yes, but it's not for me. So that feels good, but somehow it's not for me, or it's not the time for it,
Hmm.
you know, like we were talking about. So it's kind of like, oh, there's something here, but for some reason, this is not quite the time for it now. So it's almost like the energy of flow is not opening up to me. Because what I find when something is a yes and I'm aligned with it, because that's the whole purpose of alignment, right? That's what I teach, energy reading and alignment. And I essentially teach energy reading less for prediction, although prediction is there for sure, but more for alignment. When you start tapping into energy and you start discovering the blocks and the misalignments, and you understand, you see the root of it, it's kind of what tends to happen is when you acknowledge it, you start sort of working with that energy, and you know what to do to eliminate it, right? At least that's what happens in my energy readings. And so when something could be potentially for me, or it feels like a yes, but for some reason it's not the right time, yeah, the flow won't be there. I won't feel like a door is opening, or the synchronistic event that goes with, right, you go to this, then this happens and that happens. Do you know what I mean? So there's a sense of like, oh, so it's almost like, you have your laptop and you have a tab open. That tab is open. Like, you might not go there right now on that page, right, to do what you need to do, but you kind of, that tab is open, you maybe bookmark it or something like that. And when the time is right, it kind of either presents itself to me again synchronistically, because I don't necessarily do it, or it might be if I do revisit and I feel something, like it feels right, I will get some kind of sign of synchronicity that, okay, there's a time, or I might be called to it, or it might just appear out of the blue in front of me or something. So there's something about, in a way, because we talked about psychic intuition, but it's essentially about intuitive living that kind of like gives like your mind a well-deserved break. I think I realized why I used to be a lot more controlling in my life is because I hadn't just allowed my intuition to come in the forefront. And now it feels like that's definitely, my intuition is leading my life, and my mind is a secondary to it. It's more of the servant to the intuition.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Yeah.
really do 100% believe in the truth of the yes and the no. And actually, it's the foundation of how I live my life. It's made it a lot more simple. It really showed me where my priorities are. And it surprised me with some elements too. There were some things that it showed me that I didn't need as much of, that it surprised me. I felt, oh, interesting. But it opened up space for other things.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm right there with you. I use my yes and my no for all sorts of things. Like right now I have a cold, and I was guided to take like an expectorant, this Mucinex medicine, and so I took one last night, and then I was like, okay, well, I'm still feeling this cold this morning. I can take another one. And then it was like, no. And I'm like, oh, so I just needed one because the one did help last night. And so I'm
The
like, well,
job.
maybe I take another one to keep it helping,
Yeah.
to get it out of here. And it was like, nope, no more. And I was just like, oh, okay. And so yeah, it surprised me, like, oh, I don't need it. Or where if I just went by the box and I just went with what, like you're
Instruction.
supposed to do, I would have probably took another one. So yeah, I use them for food choices, for
Yes.
like everything pretty much. Like I'll
Yeah.
tap in if it's not, just kind of a common sense thing that I can feel right off, like I'll sit with it, even just, and it really doesn't take that long once you figure out your yes and your no's. So I love that you gave us that information on how you get that, because you've done
Yeah.
it so much, and now it's probably just really quick, right? You can tap into it and, oh,
Totally. Yeah.
light, oh, not light, okay, that's a yes, that's a no, for you. For me, the way that I get yeses and nos is on my left shoulder. I'll get like this tingling sensation. It'll feel like open, and that's my yes. And on my right shoulder, I'll get a similar but kind of heavier. It'll still tingle, but it'll feel heavy. And
Mhm.
that's my no. And so if it comes in on my right or left, if it comes in on my left, then it's a yes. If it comes in on my right, then it's a no. So I can tap right in, whichever shoulder is zinging or, tingling, then I know yes, no. Okay, moving on. And
I
so I
love
don't
it.
have to sit with it for too long because I've, you know, just done it so much. And so at first, I feel like um, it might be a little tricky for people to discern their yes and their no's because they haven't maybe listened to it for very long. And so I love that you say, you know, the openness, like it's light, it feels more open. And so I think that's a good thing for people to start with if they haven't really discerned which, what their yes is and what their no is if there's a lightness, if there's an openness, like you also said, if it feels like flow, if it feels good, if there's some joy, if there's some kind of um, happier emotions that are in play, if it just feels good, then it makes me feel like I can breathe a little bit, then that's
Yeah.
yes. And if I feel constricted or contracted or heavier, or I don't feel as good, or there might be a little pit that comes up in my stomach, like when I think about it, or I feel more closed off, then that's probably a no, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
and so that's a good place to start, and until you read energy more, until you practice more, then you can probably get down more details and more fine-tuned ways of,
Yeah.
Okay, this is my yes and this is my no.
It's about absolutely. And, with my clients, we do an exercise that connects them to their psychic dictionary, the yes and the no through the psychic dictionary. But then it's literally, and that's what I recommend to people, is use your day to day. The first week, all my clients, what they do, my students on this course, is like, I ask them to like live their life from day to night, to lead by that yes and the no, to check in, not what their mind, but what their inner being, their energy tells them, right? And to feel into it, you kind of just letting your energy tune into the decision they have in front of them. So it could be even a yes or a no in terms of like, right, let's say you have two clothing choices, right? Before you go to work or whatever. You tune into both and see what your inner being, not what your mind tells you, your inner being tells you. When you choose a solution, like an option for food or lunch to get for work, whilst at work, you again tune into what your body needs, what your inner being says yes to, not what you think your mind will say yes to. And it's essentially getting people to like drop from their mind and the guidance of the mind to the guidance of their intuition. And the mind, I know we want to kind of like, always give it a bit of a, bad name, or kind of in a way that the problem is that the funny thing with the mind is it loves being given a break. Once we kind of do it for a bit, it realizes actually it has zero issues with taking a break. And for me now, when I do use my intellect, my mind, it feels really good to blend it with my intuition. Not everything. Yes, I live my life intuitively, but I have a mind and I think it's a good mind. So I'll put it to use. I did critical thinking at university. I did a critical course, which I loved. It really helps me a lot, tremendously. So the critical capacity is also important, but not to be leading our lives from all the time, because
Mhm.
a life of alignment won't come through just what our mind tells us. And the truth is, sadly, is that our mind will lie to us a lot. And that's what energy doesn't do. It doesn't lie, energy.
Mhm.
It's not possible to lie. That's why for me, learning to read energy feels like such an incredibly powerful tool to have in our lives, because energy doesn't lie. Humans, we do lie. We don't always mean to, even necessarily. We just, sometimes the lie is through a conditioned experience, through misinformation, through, it was interesting when I started being more comfortable with energy reading, when I have a conversation with somebody and I see them telling me something that it wasn't true. And it wasn't because they also believed that it was true. They were sharing it because they thought it was true, but actually it wasn't true, because the body will show a particular vibration when a
Mhm.
lie comes through. And I would always smile. I felt like this person said something that they don't realize is a lie. And it might be that it's a lie because they haven't tuned into it, to the truth of what they shared fully. it came from this conditioned experience. But I'm just a little bit hooked to this whole way of living, because I love the whole thing about vibrational living. I feel is like the life of the future,
Mhm.
or the kind of mode of living of the future. I think it transcends barriers, because it's the energy reading is like, energy is the language of the soul and the higher self. So it transcends the barriers. You know, I might do an energy reading for a woman who doesn't really speak any English, yet I have a deep communion and connection with her energy, and I will understand where her blocks and misalignments are in like seconds. And it's like, it's these things that it just breaks down so many barriers. And it's such a
Mhm.
deep, intimate way to connect with other human beings and to understand one another more, beyond a sort of like what we see or how we think things are, you know, because sometimes we're a bit too close to it to see it, you know. So for me, I
Absolutely.
use energy reading more for a way of living in alignment, you know. It really allows us to live in alignment. And I think it's a very powerful deconditioning tool, if you like, to live from the heart and
Yeah.
closer to our natural cycles as human beings. And it's part of our ecosystem. It's not like this like extraterrestrial. It's a real human organic thing, being able to be psychic, read energy, however people do it, you know. It's actually totally like a part of our humanness.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that 100% for sure. And I feel like now with us stepping more into, more and more people are so-called awakening to their intuition, they're awakening to energy. Um, for me, I've, you know, seen this. I mainly work with entrepreneurs, and so I know that this is the way that we're going to be doing business has to do with energy, energy has to be included in business and in all other aspects too. I believe that with the school systems, I believe that with healthcare, I believe, like um, this is
Holistic.
being called to be incorporated fully, yes, because of that, because this is our nature. We're energetic beings, and everything that we work with is energy. Plants, people, um, animals, like everything. And so when we can read that and we can feel that, like you said, it just transcends languages, and you can tell when something's aligned and when it isn't. And all you have to do is understand how you yourself can shift your vibration and shift your energy to align with different things. It's not about making somebody else shift theirs. It's,
Yeah,
what do I want to do with
exactly. It's a
my
DIY
energy?
tool. Yeah. It's
Yes,
DIY.
yes,
I love generally DIY spirituality, in the sense of like tools that we can use, like skills, you know, learning skills, and that we can use in our life and apply them to the extent that we feel we want. Some people might want it less than others, some people just a little bit more. I think there's something very powerful about, you know, you're in the driving seat of your life. So of course it goes without showing, rather than just eh, waiting for the wisdom of to come from others, you know, to really tap into it yourself and gain access to really impactful and important information that could change the trajectory of your life, you
yeah,
know. um
absolutely.
that's not to say that learning, like exchanging information, I also love being the oracle and people coming for information, because I just love the skill of tapping into people's energies and the situations. But I generally am more of a teacher. I think in my soul blueprint, I love being a teacher. And I think that's where I have a lot to offer. And I love empowering people to use the tools by themselves, you know, because the more mystery schools we have, as far as I'm concerned, the better it is for our planet. The vibration shifts a lot quicker, rather than just depending and keep on giving the money or whatever to people to give us, you know. But it does take a village to raise the planet, the planet's
Right.
vibration. It does take a village, really. So equally, why not? Why not? You know, we need
Right.
the oracles, and we need the technicians and the mechanics, and we need the teachers, and we all tap into whatever we desire the most, you know, whatever, you know, works for us.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you think about it, just going along with, it takes a village. If all the mechanics tapped into their intuition, if all the healthcare workers tapped into their intuition, if all the psychics tapped into theirs, if all the, cooks that love to cook for people, tapped into theirs, like just imagine the creations and the potency of energy that can be exchanged just on a daily basis when we're connected to higher intelligence, to higher source. That's where new creations can come in. And
Yeah.
so, advances in mechanics, advances in schools, advances in healthcare, that will come from intuition. And that's why they have those, what they call think tanks. It's because literally people get together, they start talking, and they connect intuitively, even if they maybe not conscious about doing it, but they're sharing energy in a space, and they're connecting, and then they're opening themselves up to intuitive ideas. And as soon
Mhm.
as one comes in, it's like comes in, and then they start opening that
Yeah.
up. Oh, that is a
Yeah.
possibility. That is, and so they are using intuition, but it's if you're mindful of it and you're conscious of it, then you can use it as a greater tool instead of it just being kind of an unconscious tool. So that's
Imagine
where we
though.
come in.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, yeah. But can you imagine like expecting you have a plumbing issue, and you having a plumber coming in, and the moment he comes in, oh yeah, you've got this plumbing issue because actually you're not managing your own energy well, and you have all these energetic leaks. Because I remember
Exactly.
that would freak me out. But I do remember being with a friend, living with a friend at home. She was a channel, and she was quite a powerful channel, actually. That was many years ago. Like, I don't know, like, no, actually it wasn't 20, it was probably like 15 years ago. For a period of time, she lived with me. She was also in Egypt with me. And I remember she flushed the toilet and didn't flush properly. And her guide said to her, you know, this is an abundance issue, the
Mm,
thing not flashing properly. It's because of your, he said to her, her guide, because of your kind of like issue with abundance, this doesn't flash generously at the moment.
mhm,
It was funny, but I actually did have a plumber that came, and we had a very profound conversation. And even when I went to the eye hospital, I've been losing my eyesight on my left eye since last August, and we only worked out it was cataracts and that they can fix it. But yesterday, 2 days ago, whilst I was waiting to see the doctors for the other test, this woman said, oh yeah, this has been going. So part of me is fully kind of trying to accept it, was the other part of me is open to things. And just, well, anything is possible, Samaya. It's more and more every day. I see people in very random professions, and even very kind of like professions that you might think very scientific or straight, where you hit something profound. Or she
mhm.
says, oh, I know this holistic practitioner, eye specialist that's totally holistic and works with energy that you might want to see. So, and I hear that all the time now. You hear somebody in the charity shop, oh, everything's possible, he said to me once, like, it's just a limitation of your mind, just as you're waiting on the till. So there's something about we're everywhere.
Mhm.
You know, and even if you're not going to use that information or the psychic abilities or whatever in your profession, it really is what it does on a consciousness level for the planet, and for the conversation this plumber or whoever will have with anyone else in their lives, and what those conversations would trigger from people, you know.
Right.
Because people kind of like are definitely kind of out there all the time. I see that sort of awakened individuals having really good conversations about, you know, true authentic sovereignty, you know, what it is to like really feel empowered in your own abilities, and about consciousness, all that kind of stuff. It's really happening more than we realize. And I think also, I don't know what you think about this, I really feel it's time, and it's important for the evolution of the planet to start kind of acknowledging how much more of that is, because we keep on talking about how the planet is, you know, everything is changing and everything is changed. Sure, but it's like we really need to see even more and more how much of this is here, you know, already. To keep on leaning into all the good stuff that's happening and not just keep on emphasizing all the stuff that's really wrong.
Yeah,
Because where we place
exactly.
our energy, that grows, right? So if we keep on, it's almost like, you know, this thing with the nervous system, when they call glimmers. When you start focusing on the positive glimmers as opposed to being in your triggers, and you start focusing on especially for those who had a lot of trauma, when you start noticing the glimmers in your life, the good moments of expansion or joy or a little bit of like satisfaction or something, that becomes magnifies more and more and more. And I think it's the same about the evolution at the moment we're going through. There's so much stuff that we could focus on that feels so cringy and awful right now and painful. And at times, personally, I feel in a very topsy-turvy, go from one to the other. I just feel like I've gone like, whoa, what's happened? From the destruction and the suffering to this. Sometimes I'm a bit too, but I feel like choosing where to anchor feels really important right now.
Oh yeah, because we're in creation of the new earth. We're literally at the beginning, you know, it's been creating for the past few years, I feel like, or even a little bit longer, but now it's this more conscious creation and so because we're such potent energy centers, you know, within each of us, and we are, I believe, aspects of the creator, the big, you know, the big G, the big creator, the universe, whatever you want to call it. Um, when we tap into that and we say, I'm going to focus on this, and this is what I'm going to bring more of in my own life, you know, then we set everything around us, our everything that's in our orbit, into creating that reality for us. And so that's our environment, that's our family, the people that we're around the most, you know, like are all feeling that impact. And we each have this. And yeah, it's just a matter of tuning in and using it. And we all want to change the world. We all want to make it, you know, make our mark in something.
Yeah.
But we very much, I believe, disvalue how much we're capable of changing just within our own energy. That is how we change the world. That is how we make our mark on the world. It starts with us, and it starts with the people around us, the surroundings around us. But
Yeah.
as long as we're shifting our own energy and we're staying in aligned with our joy and what lights us up and what feels aligned to us, it's incredible how much that magnifies that. Like, it's beyond comprehension how many people that touches each day, and how many, you know, other things it touches, plants, animals, you know, you walk around, and that resonance is connecting with other people, and it's automatically raising their vibration to want to match that,
Yeah.
to tap into themselves and to their power and to what they're capable of shifting within their lives, and seeing their misalignments so that they can go in and fix them. You know, we think that, oh, it's just me, it's just my energy, but like this, we have such potent energy that it's, I don't know. It when I sit and think about all of this, I'm just like, you know, why are we discounting ourselves so much, you know, and
Other
we think
places.
we have to reach the masses. But if you take a step back and you think about how many people you're reaching in a day just from your energy, or how many people you've reached in your lifetime so far, no matter how much, you know, how long you've lived, um, think of how many people you've already touched in this entire world just by being around them, you know, and them being in your energetic frequency at one point or another. Like, you will have impacted the world, because it's insane when you sit back and think about that. Just
Yeah.
any little encounter creates a ripple, and we have that power to do that. And so when we're in alignment, when we're connected, you know, we can create amazing ripples, and it doesn't have to look pretty. It doesn't have to look like we're on a stage and we have to be with 5,000 people in order to make an impact. Like, we've already touched 5,000 people's lives if you sit back and think about it, like in one way or another. And like,
Absolutely.
it's just, do you want to continue moving in that space of empowerment? If you're empowered, you're sending out that resonance of empowerment for others. If you're aligned with yourself and you trust yourself, then you're sending that resonance out to others to trust themselves and align with themselves. Or are you in a state of fear and you're pushing that out constantly? I'm always in
Absolutely.
fear. And so I'm generating more fear with everybody I touch and everybody I, connect with. You're not doing it consciously, but you're doing it unconsciously, and we still feel that. And that will trigger our fears and our insecurities. Even if we don't have a conversation, even if we don't talk to you, we can feel that.
Oh my
And oh,
goodness.
there
Yeah.
we go, we go down, And
I,
so that's how
I
we shift. That's how we change the world, is with
It starts
ourselves.
home. It starts home. I'm curious to ask you from your experience with your clients, how do you find their process with creating those shifts on that very tangible level in well, in their own energy, but then also how they change their environment, how they choose maybe to, we talked about boundaries, discerning their yes and their no, how easy do you find it is for them, and what do you find the pattern in your sort of client work to be around the shifts? How much resistance is there? How easy is it for them to recognize that some things are really ready for change? Do they come generally pretty quick and ready for the change? Are they kind of needing some preparation for that? And how do they find that sort of like process of implementing some of those changes in their own life, would you say, and their own energy? I'm curious to know.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this question. And I approach things in a little bit of a different way than I feel like some other psychics I've known and met, where they're always about, well, I want to make sure and ask for permission. Every time I'm doing something, I want to ask for permission. I want to ask for permission. And for me, just, I don't know if this is just a me thing, but the way that I feel like is, if you have come into my space and you have asked me to help you with something, then you have given me permission and full access to what what I can see. And whatever I can see, I trust the universe. If the universe is showing me something, then it's ready. And
Yeah.
so I address it and I bring it out, and I and we'll sit and continue digging and needing things out of people. But I trust that if there's something that's come up in their alignment or misalignment, they're having they just happen to bring up, oh, this happened to me again, then that right there is showing me that that's what needs to be addressed. And so, somebody could just be talking about like their week. Well, this is what happened this week. And it just, like you said, sticks out. Oh,
Yeah.
there's something there. So I'll see it stick out and it won't let me continue the conversation. It'll stick
Unless it
right there. And so then I start diving in and digging in and saying, okay, what's going on there? Because I believe that they already have a truth that they know is true, but they're telling themselves this is not true because of conditioning, because of old beliefs, because of old traumas. And so if it's sticking out to me and they bring it up, then it is a misalignment, and they are ready, their higher self is ready to address it and to shift it. And so for me, it's just, I'm mostly, what my highest strength is clairaudience. So I hear it. It's just, and so
nice.
sometimes I can just, oh, they need this, or they're ready for this, or it's because of this. And so I get a fast track to knowing what's wrong with you or what needs to be addressed, or they're lying to themselves about this, or they're letting so and so tell them this is wrong. And so then I I'm a blunt person. I'm very kind about it, but I also will just
You want to
bullet
say
to
it?
the bullet to the forehead. Yeah. Like, hey, you know this isn't your truth. Why are you letting this happen? And they're just like, well, like, like I see it. And,
So,
or they're like, everything's
yeah.
going good. And I'm like, but what about this? This isn't going good, is it? And they're just like, how did you know? And I'm like, really? Like, you're going to ask me how I know? Like, I see it. And so, like, or I hear it. I got told, like, your guides, my guides will tell on you in a heartbeat because I hear it. Like, they will literally say, she's not doing this, he's not doing that. He went back to this even though he knows better. And so I'll bring it up. Like,
And can
and
I
so
ask you, I
yeah.
love that. I can ask you, generally, would you say your clients pretty open to adapting to the information you give them? Are they like ready to take it and do what they need to do with it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because also I just believe that if they're attracted to me, then they're attracted to the way that my energy works.
Of course.
Um,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I have never had a problem with somebody, telling me like, hey, you crossed the line. Hey, I don't want to go there.
I don't
You
think
know,
so much that, but more in terms of like how people like kind of like how ready they are, like the levels of resistance. I'm just curious about that kind of stuff, the levels of resistance people have and all
mm,
that, and how easy do they generally find adapting to some of the changes they need to make, maybe, or are ready to create some of those changes, that sort of thing, I guess.
yeah. And I like to put them in. I like to offer different things, and so I'll bullet to the forehead. Hey, this is a problem. Why are you letting this be a problem? We've already talked about this, or or let me bring this up. This is a pattern. Um, but then at the same time, I'm asking for information from my guides, from my higher self. How can I explain this in a way where it's going to stick?
Clicks for
You
them.
know, and so I'll start, I guess kind of channeling what to say next. And it's like, okay, bring up this, bring up that, show them it's not just about, so for example, somebody's doing something and they said they wanted to change their health, and then they're not doing something that's healthy, and they've said they were going to stop. And, it's like, okay, bring that up. And you've already approached it this way. Now approach it this way. Have them look at it in this way. And so I'll get that guidance, that intuitive guidance to shift my approach and how
Yeah.
I bring it up, or what else I want to say to really help it stick with them, because I'm all about them growing. I want them to grow. It's not about saying you're right, you're wrong, you didn't do this, you did this wrong, and I'm going to hold you accountable. This is about getting them to a space where it clicks for them.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm asking my guide team for, is give me something where I see what the problem is, they see what the problem is, I'm going to address it. But what can I do to really make it click? How can I give this information to them to where it's really going to click and it's going to hit their soul? I don't want it to hit their mind. I want it to hit their soul,
Yeah.
so
That's,
that they
yeah,
remember
I get
at
it.
that, and and then they connect with it, and then it's like, oh my gosh, that's, they'll see it in that way, and that's what will be the game changer. If I'm approaching it just like a regular coach, that's like,
Yeah.
you didn't do this and you said you were going to, so now I'm going to hold you accountable. Will you make sure you do it the next time? Like,
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
do
not
it.
like that either. It
Yeah.
doesn't work like this, does it? Because
Right. No, no.
need to take on board their inner being, not just their mind. And that's not what creates the change. It's like when it kind of clicks on a deeper level. That's why I
Exactly.
feel for me, alignment work is so important, because you kind of like alignment is really the bit that then really when you do apply any effort, things kind of flow, as opposed to like, if you're going to implement a change, if you're going to start taking action into something, your business, your project, your life, your relations, whatever, then there's more of a sense of flow because you've aligned with the elements that will make that a reality more. and the energetic components as well. So I think the speaking to the soul is a really important thing to making it very personable for people. 100%.
Absolutely.
I'd
Yep.
love to do a little reading on each other. Would you like to do that?
Yes, for sure. Do you want to start or do I want to start?
Like maybe like just as a thing, like to tune into something, not necessarily a specific question, but like something that stands out for me that needs to communicate right now, that's gonna like help in whatever way. And I'll do the same with you if you wanted to. Would you like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I love having fun like this with other psychics on the
Yeah,
podcast.
like we
Yep.
did it like we did it last week and it was a lot of fun as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yep. It was.
And
Yep.
it was really super helpful what you said, actually, 100%.
Good.
Okay, cool. Do you want to do it first or do you want me to? Whatever.
You can go first. I'm gonna
Okay,
take a
cool.
drink of water.
Okay, so what does Naomi need to know the most right now? What would be of assistance for her the most right now? What do I need to see into her energy? You know what came up? It's funny. I'll just tell you because I work with images really well. My sort of, you know, the thing that came up was a crystal clear white pathway that opens up for your journey that we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I know we talked about earlier with kind of the stuff, the health stuff that came up a bit. So what I'm being shown is a pathway. But the interesting thing with this pathway, it's almost like it's not like ahead of you. It's almost like on the side. And I don't know what that's showing up on the side as opposed to like, right, okay, it's like your main path. It's almost like there's a clear path that's being highlighted. It's white and it's very much like a benevolent path. Like this is your path right now, leading to your trip, particularly. And it just feels full of light, and it feels like that's where you need to be and that's where you need to go. Why is it's showing particularly as like sort of sideways? It's showing on your right. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if geographically to where you're heading is on your right, like you'll be going east, but it's showing east right now for me. Is it
Oh,
east?
okay.
I
It's
don't
west.
know. Is
Yeah,
it west? Okay,
it'll be
I don't know why it's showing.
northwest.
Pardon?
It's gonna be northwest. Yeah,
Maybe
from
northwest.
where I'm
I'm
at.
being shown here. There's a pathway on the right-hand side. I'm
Okay.
guessing it's east, but it's like right. And it's leading to just a lot of light and a lot of fulfillment and a sense of that's where you're meant to go. But I know it's specifically linked to the destination you were talking about.
Okay. And for those that don't know, yeah, I've been guided for since the beginning of the year to travel to Oregon, and my guides haven't given me too much information, but it just keeps popping up over and over again in meditation. And so that's what Samaya is talking about is this Oregon trip. So yeah.
Interesting thing with this also, it's almost like right now you're not looking at the pathway. You're kind of almost looking ahead of you, but you're not really looking at the pathway. That pathway is already open and it feels like that it's wide open. It's like the time, it's like really ready.
Hmm.
You're just not looking at it right now, though. It's almost like showing that you're looking somewhere else. And maybe it's just for the moment. I don't know. But like, is there anything else coming up for you around this
It
journey?
that makes a lot of sense to me. The way I'm interpreting it is that I've been getting shown this for a while. I'm not sure where this path is going to lead. And so it's like, okay, this is a side thing, but
That's what I'm
I'm
seeing on
looking
the side.
forward as well. I'm still looking for some kind of path for the future. And so what I'm taking from this is it's like stop looking at the future and look at the path in front of you, which is already clear, it's already ready, it's already benevolent, and focus on one path at a time. You don't know where this path is
Yes.
going to take you. It might take you to the future. And so focus on this.
That's what it's showing, that in a way you're not acknowledging it as your main path because it's showing
Yes.
sideways. And maybe it's not about is it east or is it west? It's showing sideways. It's almost like you don't want to take it as your main path right now. And you're kind of like, but it's almost like here's the path. And it's like wide open for you right now. And
Yeah.
wherever it's leading, it feels really good. And maybe this is a lesson in trust that actually by taking it, it is an initiation in itself, right? Like you said,
Hmm.
you've always had that guidance. Maybe the fact that it holds all this energy, where maybe there's a sense of like you looking ahead and, maybe it holds a little bit more than what you expect there. And in
Yeah.
a way, there's a part of you that kind of doesn't want to fully acknowledge it right now, 100% maybe, like, oh, you're looking ahead because it feels like full of promise. It just feels like a really kind of like very high vibrational energy, but
Hmm.
it almost feels like off the beaten track. It doesn't feel like the main path in your perception. That's why I'm
Yes.
like this. So in a way, it's like maybe not 100, you're not maybe 100% on board with this. And it's like what we were saying before, right? Like maybe there's the something needs to come more fully in alignment for you to choose the path. Or maybe something needs to kind of like fully click for you to kind of say, yes, right, I'm making this my full path right now, right?
Yeah,
It,
absolutely. And even as you're talking about it, um, there is this resistance because what I do know about this trip, like the little details that I do know, I can't logically see how that's going to pan out with the things that I've been manifesting, the things that I've been calling in for myself. And because it looks off the beaten trail, it's like, how can that get me to here? And so I have to keep this future path open to what's logically going to happen rather than connecting and fully trusting. I am going on the trip, but yes, I'm not fully trusting that this off the beaten pathway is going to lead me to what I know is coming for me. I've definitely been getting a lot of confirmation from the universe that the things that I have been calling in are coming and they're going to come in amazing ways that, I've
yeah,
like never thought of before. But then
yeah,
it's showing me this path and it's like, so go this way. And I'm like, that's not what it's supposed to look like. That's not what I'm talking about. And it's like,
yeah.
you're
It's
going
not
here, you're
fitting with
going
your
this way.
idea. So it's not fitting with your mind's idea of what the next step could be.
Exactly.
And whilst this is kind of there, it's like wide open. It feels like almost like the time is now, though. That's the thing. It's not even showing like this could be in the future. Right now, if you took it, it will lead you to what you want. And it might be even that you don't know because you kind of are not meant to know. It's like, with reading energy as well. It's like you step into the energy, something will revealed. As you go deeper into it, more and more of it opens, right? And some of that is supposed to reveal itself gradually as you go into it. You're not meant to know right now,
Yeah.
but it feels full of promise and possibility. And what you will find there, no matter even if it ends up being a part of it's not like the final destination. What is the final destination? Like it's
Right.
meant to lead you somewhere significant. And often the off the beaten tracks are kind of the ones that lead us where we kind of meant to. My whole life is an off the beaten track like path,
Same here.
and
Yes.
it's just I've made it home and it feels a home and it's like, so yeah, this is what I'm just gonna, is there any question you want to ask around this more now?
I don't think so. That makes total sense to me. And yeah, it's just giving me more clarification or more validation, I guess, to trust and
I think it is a
not
trust thing.
assume, not put my assumptions in there of how it needs to play out. I just need to trust that because it does feel very, very good. And I'm excited and nervous because of the promise that I feel and the possibilities that I feel and the expansion that I feel is coming with this off the beaten path, trip, and it is available right now. But yeah, there's just that old belief system still, I guess, that's kind of playing out of, well, is it really going to do that? Like, because look at where it's taking you, and how is it going to take you over here, And so, yeah, it's just
So
diving deeper into trust.
one of the things I would also say, like, say if this was like a client or somebody, one of the things I would do, how could you engage with this in a way that, like, in a way, maybe that, like, rather than having the expectation of this having to deliver something, could you approach it from the point of view of the adventurer who has the curiosity? So in a way, and shifting into sort of the mode of curiosity, like maybe kind of like seeing you engaging with it from that point of view. Like, I wonder if that could help the process a bit. Because when I see you, when I ask, like, how could Naomi support herself in maybe releasing some of the resistance? What I'm being shown is you turning around to entertain the pathway, even energetically a bit. Really kind, and the moment I see you doing that, I see you smiling.
Mhm.
You know, I'm just, to be honest, a little bit surprised by the intensity of the light. Like it feels kind of almost like, and I think that's probably what's igniting some of the fear. There's something
Mm,
that's very, very bright and high vibrational about it in a
yes,
way that kind of almost makes it a bit otherworldly.
yes, absolutely.
And I think that kind of maybe do some work around any fears that are coming up. Like there's a sense of like maybe holds a level of initiation for you, that change, that in itself that's part of the gift of that. But bringing that energy of curiosity and playfulness, engaging in this new journey, kind of could be like a way to do it. And maybe approaching it as a bit like, I'm just going to try it out, just see what's there for me.
Hmm.
And kind of like being a little bit nonchalant about it, but like saying you're trying it out. You don't have to make it a permanent situation. Just go and see what happens. Because it feels like when you do, shall we do this a bit more, like feel into like what happens when you get there? Shall we dig in?
Sure. Yeah,
I
I'm
don't know if
open.
I'm going to be shown anything, but I'm curious to, um, it just feels like a major expansion is all I can say.
Yeah.
But it does feel quite significant, like kind of expansion, seeing your heart chakras really opening up. I feel like, um, yeah, like expansion is what happens really. It's kind of like a very different vibration. Not that you're not in a good vibration now, but it's like, it's a quite a sort of expansion and a
Yeah.
sort of, there's going to be quite a few unpredictable elements to it that I don't think I'm meant to be revealed to share with you. But it's like, yeah, it's almost like an initiation to of some sort, and of your gifts, and like it's an interesting one. Wow.
Hmm. Thank you so much. Yep, that all fully resonates with me. So I appreciate that. Yeah.
It felt very priestessy, kind of temple priestessy. So
Yes. That it makes sense to me for sure. Yep.
mm,
Good.
very
I love
interesting,
that. Thank you.
exciting, very exciting.
Yes, and I think that like what you nailed it, that excitement, and I'm validating what you're feeling because I've been shown different things that, it is going to bring, but it's very high level. But it is intense and it is very expansive. And so there's some fear that
Of
comes up with that.
course. Of
Even though
course.
I'm ready for it and I'm excited about it, there's also that fear of like, look at how big this feels. Look at how much I feel like I'm going to get. And that's scary. There's that humanness of, oh, this is gonna be scary, like, but I'm excited, and I feel ready. But yeah, it's just that momentary hesitation of, well, should I
I
make a new
wonder,
path just in case? Because
yeah.
even though I know this is where I'm going, like there's that
You
that
haven't
fear,
you haven't fully said yes to it.
right? Because of the bigness, because of the expansiveness.
And what it feels like, you don't have to like go all in saying full yes, but you can just go with that element of curiosity to explore, tread the path a bit, and just kind of feel it out a bit, you know? So take it incrementally, almost like you don't need to be convinced, you don't need to be persuaded. It's like approach it in a way that feels kind of like it's gonna be more easeful for you, you know.
Yeah, I
Um,
love it. Thank you so
oh,
much.
pleasure. I love
Very
doing.
cool. All right. Let me see what Maya needs to hear right now. Okay, let me see. Okay, so what's coming up for you that I'm tapping into is more business related. And it's showing me that with your offerings that you have and even your certifications, um, that I feel like there's um, like you're ready to expand. You've been calling in expansion. I want this to grow into something bigger. I want it to like I feel you really want it to grow big. Like I want it to be very, very big. Um, and also kind of going along with the theme that it's not it makes me feel like maybe this is like a 5 year 10 year plan that you've kind of mapped out in your head. You know, this is how long it's going to take, and I'm just really getting that it is shortened. Like it's not as long as you think it'll take. This can be shorter, and it again is like it can be tapped into right now, and it doesn't have to look like the business plan model of growth that, you know, okay, expect this year and expect this next year and expect this, you know, like it's really tapping into that quantum energy of
Yes.
expansion and eat like it's showing me that what is available right now is
I know.
connecting with the people that have already been a part of the group, have already been, um, you know, past clients, current clients, and expanding your reach from there. Um, I feel like they have, um, like there's just this kind of untapped into potential um, for you to expand your business through your current and past clients. That you're like, I'm feeling like you're feeling more new clients, more new things. I gotta put my focus in on bringing new people in. But this is showing me go in through your current clients and your past clients and reach the new people through them. Like that's
Interesting.
how you gain more expansion in a shorter amount of time is what I'm feeling.
It's
And
very
so,
interesting you say that because I've been getting referrals from existing clients, and I think that um, I realize it's something that kind of has worked for me. But particularly the first bit that you talked about is interesting because it's not so much that I have a business plan for years ahead, but what I do have that resonated, this thing, I think I'm just approaching my business in a very incremental way, not the quantum way.
mhm,
Because I feel like part of the way I work is creating a deep level of safety and security in my energy because I've had just generally, you know, I'm a single mom and and I feel a lot happens energetically. I've had some health stuff that I've been working through as well. And I've like I've been resistant of the sort of quantum expansion because of what I
Mm,
might be able to manage in my own and with my own energy. And generally speaking, I kind of have the approach that there's a sense of like a quantum expansion. There's a little bit of a fear of that. Can I handle everything and everyone coming to me on all from all sides, you know?
mhm.
Suddenly everything was started to come full on. That's the kind of thing I'm working on. And I think that resonates with me because it's kind of definitely is trying to encourage me to be a little bit braver. I guess there's fear on both sides, right? With our own stuff.
Right.
To trust that it will be okay if everyone starts like flooding in wanting to
Yes.
work with me, and to be a little bit more open to the quantum, because actually funnily enough I've started doing a lot of quantum jumping recently, almost like daily
Ah, uh-huh.
quantum work now, and I've
Good.
been getting a lot the message about my business could get really big suddenly,
Yeah.
and there's a part of me that flirts with that, you know, but like you, I haven't like fully gone all in yet on this.
Right. Yeah. And this is just making me feel too, like as you're talking about the fear, it goes back to, what we previously talked about. It's about trusting yourself and trusting that you'll know what boundaries you need to put up, what channels you need to put up, how you want to move that energy when it comes in.
Yes,
You'll
exactly.
know, you'll
Yeah.
know how to maneuver the energy to facilitate your current situations, no matter what it is, and that it will turn out great. Like,
I
I
think
know that
that's
it will flow. I have the capacity to make it flow, no matter how big, no matter how small, no matter how medium. I can move energy in whatever way I want to, whenever I want to, and to make it work for me, to make it work for my life. And so that's what I'm feeling is while you're making these quantum jumps and quantum leaps in your business and the growth, I feel like it can be incremental, it can be as you wish, but then it's okay. I'm taking on a lot. I'm opening it up, and now the floodgates came in, and now I'm going to close it, and now I'm going to rearrange the energy to be what I want it to be right
oh
now,
yeah,
and
100%.
now and then I can do some later. Like you can
I
always
think
do more.
that's exactly the trusting, because I do know how to manage it actually.
Oh yeah.
Getting caught up, I'm getting caught up a little bit on this thing of like, like suddenly seeing it's like a Black Friday and everybody's rushing to get the big TV.
Right.
And I'm getting, you know, and it is kind of like I'm getting a bit more used to visualizing the you know, and I think I think I've stayed in my comfort zone, and also kind of like a bit of a simple life. I realize I like the simplicity, but I know I'm not creating the impact I could, and I feel like there's room for more. I love using my skill. I love being able to like just tap into in and out different people, just do the work, do the teaching. And also, I think I have the business model to facilitate that. I have my group programs, they run a specific day. You know, those who
Hmm.
want to work privately, they can do so. So it's not like suddenly all my days is going to be fully booked, because I can channel people into the group stuff as well. I love that. That really resonates though, that thing that you talked about, because I think I've been approaching it very incrementally
Right.
and kind of
Yeah.
in a very linear way. And I think it just doesn't kind of actually fully serve me right now. But I needed a little bit of that nudge to to
Good.
kind of
Good.
like to do this. So thank you for
Yeah.
that.
And I'm also do you have offerings that are like courses where it's just self-run courses, they can just take it whenever?
They
Do you have those right now?
I don't, but one of them is probably going to turn into one. I just love doing the live stuff, to be
Uh-huh.
honest. Because again, it's like I run two mentorships that have merged into one, but people can still invest either in one or both. It's a lot more affordable to do both. It's the psychic development, which is like learning to read energy to use for the work, the personal life, whatever, they're certified. And then we do the alignment work, weekly energy work, alignment work, shamanic work. And we work with kind of like vibrational tools. I help them tap into more of the kind of like whatever they're coming into alignment with, right? It could be their business or whatever. And as part of that, there's a business course as well for those who are building businesses. So and these run on 1 day per week, 2 different days. Obviously, they took courses, so I can serve a lot of people at the same time with this, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
it's at the moment, a lot of my work, people have gone into one-to-one stuff. I love it, but I'd love to take more people also onto the alignment work too, and just channel the energy there, because people grow a lot through group work as well, you know, and
Yeah.
it's a lot more long term too.
Okay. Because I'm just seeing that, um, what you've already created, it is just a matter of expanding within that too. And
Yes,
so if you're, focusing on funneling everybody into one thing, then that's
yeah,
what's going to be created. If you're focusing on, okay, I really like this one thing, but I also want to add more people in the alignment, just you mindfully moving your attention and energy into opening that space up more for more people to come in. I feel like more people are going to come in, and so it's just a matter of, yeah, you taking what you currently have and expanding that however, whatever feels good. But yeah, it does. It just feels like, yep, quantum it rather than thinking that it's
exactly.
going to
Yeah,
take however long or, and
fully now.
knowing that,
Yeah,
yeah, you can shift and move the energy however you wish. So
yeah.
yeah,
I
very
think,
cool.
thank you for that. I think I've been playing it safe because I feel like I like the simplicity of it. And at the
Mhm.
moment, it's paying my bills, you know, but actually, I know that there's the next level to come, and I've been delaying it a bit.
Mm, okay. I do still feel like there's something with a course that you could just put out to people to have them, do a self-study.
Actually,
Doesn't be right now,
yeah,
but I do feel like it's a seed that's just ready to
yes. And
blossom.
I know what this course is. It's actually a 4 week introductory psychic development. And what that does, it also
Perfect. Yep.
it's for because it gets to prepare people before they choose, and it warms people up for wanting to choose to do the, you know, that's
Yes.
exactly what I
Yes.
was planning to create. So
Okay.
thank you for that. It's another nudge that I need to get it going. I know one needs to
Yes.
go into it as well. I just need to do it, you know, I
Yes.
need to
Yes.
do
I
it
feel
now.
like it's just ready to be planted and that will grow a lot of fruit. And so and yeah, again, it doesn't have to take that long. It doesn't have to like you can perfect it as you go. It's just really getting it out and because people are ready for it and
Yeah,
people are
I
ready
think so.
to dip their toes in.
Yeah,
And then once they feel your energy, once they're connected to you just with that self-study, then you'll move them into these other things.
yes,
So that's where I also feel like the current client moves into more expanded, by bringing people in with that course, then you can expand them into these
yeah.
mentorships. And so yeah,
Oh,
I really
absolutely.
I feel like
I think that's
that's a
spot
big thing.
on. I think it's a really good nudge to really get it going, because I was thinking about it for like weeks now, like months probably, but I've just been very slow. I think because I had my eyesight issues and it was deteriorating so fast, and it was such a adjustment for me that I kind of like things slowed down a little bit, and I felt
Mhm.
like just focused on serving my existing clients, doing my current mentorships, and being a mom and all that. And I didn't find it as an expansion time. I found it more as let's manage what we have and adjust to the changes, you know. But
Yeah,
now that I
absolutely.
know I'm going ahead with the operation, I'm not going to lose my eyesight. They're going to even fix my long-sightedness. I'm going to get full vision back. It's actually a massive
Yay.
upgrade. They're giving me my sight fully back. I've been wearing glasses since 6 years of age, contact lenses 15. I have very high prescription, and I won't need the glasses again. Not only they're getting the cataract away, they're literally giving me my eyesight back. And I
Wow,
won't.
that's amazing.
So it's a massive paradigm shift from, oh, I could be losing my eyesight, to, hey, you're getting everything back.
All of it. Yep.
And it's funny because back in October, my guides told me this is corrective, but they wouldn't tell me what was happening. And it's like 6 months down the line, 2 days ago, no, yesterday, 2 days ago, where they told me, oh, we're fixing this. You know, we know what it is now. So
Wonderful. That is
thank you for
amazing.
that.
You're so
That was
welcome.
really cool. Thank you. I appreciate it. I've really enjoyed
Good.
this. been a lot of fun.
Yes, me too. So can you tell us where we can find you, where we can follow your work, where people can sign up for your mentorship if they feel called and drawn
Yeah.
to your energy?
I've got a new run of energy reading certification. And with that certification, we do energy work as well. We remove barriers to your sixth sense. We really connect you with your gifts a little bit better. So we remove some of the vows and the contracts you might have made around maybe no using your spiritual gifts as well. Because it's both an energy development as well as a bit of a psychic development and spiritual development in the same time as well. It's a very deep, very comprehensive course. And a lot of practice as well. That's going to be a new round in June again. We're starting. So if you want to connect, Samaya Adeline, my name you can use to find me on Instagram. I can send you a link if you want. And also mysteryschool.co.uk is my website. And I've got a YouTube channel where there's interviews like this, where there's lots of tips I give to people that I was told were useful. I love creating content on YouTube. So that's the Mystery School of Samaya Adeline. Yeah, and I've got a couple of free things that people can connect. They can do like a free kind of energy alignment audit on their business. I've got like a freebie on that and some other cool things as well that can connect through my website. And Instagram has all the links for everything.
Perfect. And I'll put all the links in the show notes too. So yeah, you can
Thank
connect.
you.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. This was amazing. And
I
I know
enjoyed
that we just touched the surface of what we could probably just continue talking on.
Yeah.
So I would love to have you back to continue more amazing conversations because yeah, this was awesome.
I'd love to, and vice versa, obviously. And I think we mentioned about possibly doing some shared readings for
Yes.
people where we both tune into people and doing it live, either with your audience, with mine, both. I think that would be quite fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And I will put that in once we get the dates scheduled and you know what the platform that we're going to do that on. I'll put it in whatever podcast episode. I'll put it at the beginning so that I can tell you guys, my audience, when that will be, so you can jump on and get some live readings for both me and Samaya. And so yeah, that'll be really fun.
I look forward to it. I've been enjoying our twinsy experience too.
I know, this is so cool. All right, well, thank you so much, and I really appreciate you.
You too. Thank you so much.